I'm on mute. Started really well. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I'm not Tommy. As you can see, I'm not bald. So, someone a little bit different tonight because Tommy is currently in Greece
It's all right for some,
enjoying his
innit?
holiday. So, he left these three beautiful chaps here for you today because the Champions League has started. The Premier League has started. I was just seeing Champions League post. Tottenham have played Brentford. We have plenty to talk about, transfer news as well, transfer rumors. So let's start by Dan. How you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not too happy with the football on the weekend. Could have been worse, could have been better, but there we go. Same Spurs, different day.
That's true. Haas, how you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm kind of happy football's back, to be honest, because I was getting a bit bored.
It does get boring without the actual
Yeah.
football, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. So, just a quick hi to everyone in the comments. We have Daryl Denton. Nyoto, no thanks. No, I think he's all right. Young, could still improve. Eugene, how you doing, bro? Hi, everyone. Big up, Eugene. Big up T is what Tony Rodriguez says. We also have Luis K in the house, and Dan E is also here, running 10 minutes late. We'll be on soon. Yeah, we were a little bit late. I'm sorry about that. It's my fault. But we're here. So, first things first, I'm gonna start with Has for this one. What did you think? What did you think of the game on Sunday in general?
Well, it was very different from last season in terms of just the football, of course. Like, we were attacking a lot more, obviously a lot more than Conte. But I felt like Maddison made a massive difference. I'm sure we'll talk about him a bit later, but it felt like we had more control of the game in some ways than before. But the defense is still iffy. To summarize it in like a sentence, the defense is like this, the midfield is like this, and the defense is like gone down like this since Kane's gone. So we fixed one problem in the midfield and we've broken like another, basically. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, I agree with that. I think midfield was really good.
Definitely. That was our strongest point, without a doubt.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave my opinion for later. Dan, how about you? What did you think of the game, the players, the performance in general?
Well, you know what? Everyone was saying we had a better game. It was better to watch. I definitely agree with that. It was better to watch instead of just sitting back, just getting abused. Basically, we actually took it to them a bit. One point I can definitely make there is if that would have been a better attack, we would have got smashed. Emerson Royal has got a big up on this off a lot of people because he did score a good goal. Fair play. Take me off to the man. Well done. His defending was atrocious. In the first half, their whole attack come down that left side and just totally tore into pieces. Yeah, in the second half, got it together a bit better, but I think our defence still leaves a lot to be desired. It's going to take a while for them to blend in. I still think we definitely need another centre back to cover. The proof was as soon as Romero got injured. I thought Sanchez when he came on, yeah, I thought he'd done all right, especially by his standards. I thought he had a better overall game than Royal. I agree with what you said about Maddison. He definitely made a difference, but I don't think it was him that made the difference for the whole team. That one, I think you've got to look at Basuma. Basuma, in my opinion, is going to be that star player. He's going to be our main player. He's going to be our heartbeat. He's going to be one of them players that you don't really notice it as much when he's on. But if he ain't on that pitch, you're going to know it big time. You're going to miss him more than you'll miss Maddison or someone like that. On the attack side, I think that was worse than the defence.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Kulusevski put some effort in. I'll give him that. He tried a couple of tricks that everyone knew he was going to do and failed quite miserably on it. Richarlison, I don't really put him to blame too much for this because he really... when did he get fed the ball? And a striker can only do so much if he stays up front, unless he does what Harry Kane does and sits back. But that's what we got Maddison. The one I got the problem with is Son. He was crap. He was awful. He couldn't even get it past. He couldn't get a ball in. He couldn't do nothing. And the reason I'll come down on him like a ton of bricks is because he's meant to be our captain now. And he gets taken off when he should have been taken off earlier than what he was. I think the manager should have made the subs at about 55, 60. I thought Son was just terrible. And I think we have made a big mistake in making Son our captain. And the last
I thought it was
bit
just the only one who thought that way, Dan. But I guess I'm not.
No, Son, a bad idea. And the other one I'll mention, Vicario, the goalkeeper. Yeah, he looked a bit shaky at first. But wouldn't you look shaky with that defence in front of you? And I thought he had quite a steady game. Neither of the goals he couldn't have done nothing about. I thought he had an okay game. Could have been worse, could have been better, but it's his first game. He's just getting in the Premiership. But yeah, I thought our attack was actually worse than our defence.
Yeah, Dan, since you touched on Vicario, let's talk about these four. Vicario, Van de Ven, Udogie, and Maddison, they all made their debut for Tottenham. On the weekend, I think from the players we signed, the only two that didn't play were Solomon and Vélez. Vélez wasn't even on the squad.
No.
No.
I saw someone saying it's because he still needs to get a little bit in the groove.
Was it Ange who said he's going to get no minutes in the first half of the season or something? Or was it someone else? I heard it somewhere.
I think that was just more word.
Was it more word?
I don't think Ange said anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah, but Dan, since you started with Vicario, let's go for the other three. What did you think of the debutants for Tottenham? Do you think they had good games?
Yeah, I thought VDV, I thought he had quite a solid game overall. Nothing spectacular, but I think the own goal weren't even his fault. It was a deflection. I thought he had quite a solid game, seeing as 1 minute he's playing with Romero, next minute he's got Sanchez next to him, and he's also having to cover for Royale. Now, one who definitely had a good game was Udogie. Now, I've watched him in Italy a few times. I follow Inter Milan like I follow Tottenham. That's my second team. So while I watch a lot of SerieA, I also made a bit of effort to watch a bit of Udinese play. And he's a very good player with a lot of potential. I wouldn't say defending is his strongest point. He's definitely better at going up front, but he can defend as well, like he did prove. I thought he had a brilliant game, especially for his first game. He's only 21, whatever. I thought out of all our new players, I thought he definitely stood out. Maddison had a good game. Silly sod nearly got himself sent off. If that would have been a different ref, he might have got sent off for the amount of times he kept giving it the mouth on now. But yeah, overall, he had a good game as well. But I thought Udogie, I thought he was our new one that stood out the most.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I really liked Udogie. For me, he was one of my favorite players on the pitch. I would just like to see him be a little bit more aggressive going forward like he was in defense. And when defending, the thing that stood out for me the most about him is that sometimes he just looks too slow to make a decision and to have a reaction. Sometimes he's always running behind the player he has to defend. And I think sometimes he's going to get caught by that. But what did you think of the four? Oh, sorry, Dan. Go on.
It's all right. I'm just saying. I was just going to say. It's like I said to you. Defending is not his strongest point. He's not bad, but he's not good at it. He's definitely a lot better as a wing back sort of thing, or even attacking midfielder left. But he's good enough in defence to learn a bit more to become a good left back.
Right. Van de Ven. I was encouraged by his first performance. If I'm being honest, I didn't know what to expect because I haven't actually seen him play before. His recovery was really good. I got shades of Vertonghen off the first game, I'm being honest. And Udogie, again, kind of echo what you guys saying. For his first game at that age in the Premier League, I thought it was brilliant. I think the difference between, say, him and Emerson is that his recovery is a lot better coming back to cover. Obviously, he's gone forward. And I think there was an instance when he made a recovery. I think he tackled someone like near the end. I can't remember who it was. And as for Maddison, I think it was kind of as we expected. He was just, trying to put balls through the box and try and do something. And yeah, so I thought they all did quite well. I mean, Vicario, I'm a bit shaky on, But at the end of the day, though, his defense isn't really settled, so maybe that's the factor. I don't know.
He was better than Lores.
I mean, yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that there were two plays that he looked a little bit nervous, but he went off his line to clear the ball, and that's something that Hugo would never do. Or if
No.
he didn't, he would just be too late, and he would concede a penalty or lose the ball like he did against Newcastle last year.
Well,
That
he
we
was too
conceded
small
a
to
goal.
catch the bloody ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was too small to get up there and catch it. Where's Vicario? He's about, what, 6'3", 6'4"?
That's true. But do you guys think he will improve and become more solid? Do you think it was something about just being his debut in the Premier League?
I actually think
realizing...
some positives I saw from him. Sorry, I was like, I actually like the fact he was getting off his line to deal with things.
Yeah.
The only thing is that I think he's obviously this will just probably come in time, but his decision making just needs to be a bit better when he does it. Because sometimes I was like, when he would do it, and I was like, if you mess this up, like it could easily go completely wrong. But it's just like deciding when to go. I think when to stick and when to go. I think I'll just come in time probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, we've bought him. There's a lot of potential there because there was a lot of big clubs interested in him. I mean, Bayern Munich were watching him, Man U were watching him, Chelsea was having a look at him, AC Milan wanted him, and Inter actually went to get him. That was why we got him so quick, because we basically snatched him out from Inter, basically, where they knew they were selling Onana to Man U.
Yeah.
And there's definitely potential on him. He does seem like the cheap way out as such. I can see why people say that. But
I mean, I'm one of those people, so I can't really say anything. Because for me, I wanted like a Premier League proven keeper, ideally, you know.
I get your point there, but he's the one thing I can say, he's better than what we had. Because Lores, for me, Deadwood is an understatement. He was more like Burntwood, basically, let alone Deadwood. He's been burnt and fried. He was done and dusted 2-3 years ago, in my opinion. He can't come off his line. He couldn't come off his line and catch nothing. He wasn't aggressive to his teammates around him when they screwed up, whatever, and that. Whereas you could blatantly see on there, Vicario definitely running his mouth off, like I expect a keeper to do it. He seems to have an okay command of the area. It's just going to have to take him a little bit of time because he's got to adapt to the Premiership. It's a whole different game to SerieA. A lot quicker, a lot more random shots out of nowhere, a lot more aggressive and that. It's going to take him a bit of time to learn. And I do feel people are going to pick on him a bit too quick because everyone wanted Raya, didn't they? But I don't think he had a bad game.
Yeah, I think he's going to improve. I think next week is going to be a big test for him because we're going to play against a much better team with much better players. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on the stream. Also, before I forget again, smash the like, subscribe. We're in the road to 3,000 subscribers, so please subscribe if you can. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything for that. And make sure to enable the notification so you don't lose any streams here on Tommy's channel. He's going to be back next week. So you're probably not going to see only the three of us. His beautiful, bald, shiny head will be here again, just like Daniel Levy's.
He'll be back with a tan.
That's true.
He will. I have a question. I have a question for you guys, which might be a little bit too early, I know, but I just want to throw a little bit of fire out there, which is this. Ange, did you guys approve or not? Do you guys like what you saw, at least in the beginning? Do you think there's potential in there, or you just think we're going to get caught in the future? Because I thought defensively we need a lot of work to do because they easily got at us with pace.
50-50. Go on then, mate. 50-50. If that would have been a better team, we'd have got torn to pieces. I think what you're going to see of us this year is very much of what you saw of Leeds last year. Stuff it. You score 3, we score 4. That's what I think we're going to play as. And there's going to be other games where we win 4-1. There's going to be other games where we get banged up 5-1. Because that defence is just not good enough yet. And our attack at the moment is quite shaky as well. So yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm kind of like with Dan, 50-50. Like, I don't mind attacking football, like, but I think you can win a football match in so many different ways. I don't think there's like a fixed style. But if I was to compare Ange to like a previous manager, I get more Martin Jol vibes off him than anyone else. And I think it's kind of deja vu, really, because if you look back at 2004, 2005, when Joel was our manager, he was sort of doing the same sort of thing. It's almost like Mendes and Davis that window. Even though at the time he wasn't the manager, Santini was, and then Joel took over. But if I was to liken it, we're still in the same place as we were back then, if I'm being honest. And I think it's kind of sort of the same style in a way, but Ange, I think, is more attacking. And like I said, the style's good, like aesthetically speaking, it's good. But if in order to play this effectively, I think you need obviously a solid centre-half partnership. But I think the fullbacks are probably the most important as well. Because if you're going to have Emerson going to midfield, he's going to have enough pace to come back and cover. And he doesn't. Obviously, he's not doing it. And obviously, Udogie, he's young, bear in mind, so he'll probably learn. But you've got to have a very solid back forward to enable the attackers to go so far forward and to be confident in doing it. So, and like Dan said, until we fix the defence, I don't think anything's going to change that much.
The other problem with Royale is he's so flat-footed. And what I mean by that is he'll stand in front of the person coming towards him. And I mean, he will literally stand in front of him like that. As soon as the fella knocks the ball past him, he's already down. He now has to turn around and run after him. He's so flat-footed. I don't rate him. I really don't.
Look, I'm not going to say he's good enough, but I think it was actually his best performance for Tottenham. And I think that shows how his time in the club has been. Because if that was his best performance, then imagine the worst, which we had many of those.
No, so I can't agree with that. I don't think it was. I think I've seen him play better for Tottenham when he's actually been told, stay back as a right back. Stay there. Don't go forward. Just stay there. I think that's where we've seen him better, because whenever it comes to him going forward and that's when he screws everything up. Okay, scored a goal, fair play, but no, I think I've seen him actually play better when they play him as what he is, and that is a defensive right back. But we just go with that one by opinion.
No, yeah, I think it was one of the best. It's because I can't remember many of these good games.
There ain't many good ones.
Rarely had those. That's a problem.
Yeah,
dude, guys, this comment from Nick Nack, I really liked it. Brentford only lost 2 home games last season. Does that make any of you change your view on the game? Do you think that maybe we're giving a little bit too much flack? Like, for example, Dan was saying, if it was a better team, we would have definitely lost that game. But Brentford, in their stadium, is really tough to beat. They got beaten only 2 games last season, but
they had their best striker missing. Ivan Toney weren't on the pitch. If Ivan Toney was on there, I think we might have seen a different game. Don't get me wrong. It sounds like I'm just slating it, whatever. We were better. No two ways about that. But just because we was better doesn't mean we can't pick out the bad points either. We've sat here and bigged up Udogie. I mean, for me, Basuma absolutely bossed that game in midfield. Maddison had a good game. And VDV started well, Vicario and that. But then you've also got to look at the other side, where it was blatantly a 50-50 game for me. It wasn't a good game. It wasn't a poor game. Just because it was better doesn't mean it was good. Because we can name just as many players that had a terrible game, not just a bad game, but a terrible game, to the players that had a good game. Now, if it was only 1 or 2 players that had a really bad game, then we can big up on the other side more. But where just as many were poor as they were good, is 50-50 for me. Because like I said, Son for me was he was absolutely awful. I thought he was the worst man on the pitch. He's meant to be our bloody captain. He's meant to be our flipping captain. And he should have been taken off at half time even. He was that bad, I thought. But you know, a lot of people at Tottenham don't like to slag off Son, do they? Because there was no improvement from how he started and finished last season. I know it's only the first game, but he's meant to be our bloody captain. How are you meant to look up to that when he walks off the pitch with his head down like that, like he's going to cry? I thought he was awful.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl Denton put a comment. Key to this season, we can't lose Madison, Bissouma, and Van de Ven. They are key. I agree.
Yeah.
I think our midfield is, as of now, our strongest part of the team.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And we're gonna talk about more transfers later. What we need to do until the end of the transfer window. Gary O'Neill, Ange needs time and more players. Top goalkeeper, two centre backs, right back, left back, a 6 and a striker, and get the Deadwood out. Speaking of Deadwood, you guys were saying that if we had a better defense, then maybe we would have gotten the win. One thing I don't understand, and I don't agree at all, by the way, I'm just putting here because it's a topic going around social media. Davinson Sanchez. A lot of people have been praising him for his game against Barcelona, and
It was a
then
friendly.
his game against Brentford. Is it another chance for Sanchez?
I don't want to
I
go through this
have
again.
actually seen people say it's his
Look,
comeback.
I've had
Again,
this argument. I've had this argument with enough people sitting here saying, right, new manager, forget about the past,
DIER, yeah.
focus on the future. Well, to me, that's just crap, yeah? Because why'd you go and buy a player? You buy a player because of his history, don't you? Why'd you get rid of a player? Because of how he's playing and his bloody history, don't you? If he's been crap for the past 5 years, he should have been well gone anyway. Out of all the ones we've got to get rid of, I would rather keep Sanchez than DIER, because for the style of play we got, Sanchez has got some pace on him. I don't think he's got the mentality for it, not at all. That's one thing you've got to give Royale. He's got a strong head on him because he'll get slated by the whole stadium and he'll still come on and give it his all, whereas Sanchez will go off and cry. I think Sanchez's style, though, is more suited to us pushing up because he's got the pace to come back. Not that I want to keep him, not that I want to give him a chance, but we really haven't got any other option. I mean, Eric Dier, do you know what? I might as well come on the pitch and I'll probably give you a better game than that fella. I think he's that bad. And if it's true that Aston Villa want him, and do you know what? Take him. I'll drive him down now. You just go.
Or is that the roommate? Villa want him?
That's one of the ones I've read. But then there's also other things about him going to Saudi Arabia and all this as
Palace?
well.
Was that another one? Or am I wrong? I don't know.
Well, what's his name's just got a big injury in it? Is it Mings? I think he's just I think he's just I think he's just bust himself like Timber did at Arsenal basically for a good 6 months now. Yeah. So they might just look at Eric Dier as an easy stopgap for the meantime, whereas you might as well just play with 10 bloody men, in my opinion. But no, none of the players, that half of them don't deserve a bloody chance, but we're not really in that situation where we can't. We need Sanchez right now because we haven't got no one else to back it up, have we? I mean, Eric Dier ain't going to back it up. He hasn't got the pace to come back on the ball where we're pressing so high and everything. And then who else have we got in defence if Romero or VDV ain't playing? This is why we definitely need another centre-back at least.
I think another centre-half is essential. But does that mean that Davies, do you think, is going to stay, guys, or is he going to go?
Do you know what? Davies, I don't think he's as... I'm not saying he's a good player. I'm not saying he starts on my 11. But as a squad player, I think he's definitely the better out of them to keep. Because he can cover a left back, he can cover defence, and he can cover it better than bloody Eric Dier. But we're in that much of a predicament now that we're talking about, do we keep Sanchez, Dier, or bloody Ben Davies? I think that just about speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Because the thing is, like, you'd say Romero, Van der Ven are the two that are definitely staying, right? So if you buy another one, you're still going to have a fourth choice of some sort.
Yeah.
So So Sanchez, I guess, could be that fourth choice because we're not going to sign three centre halves in one window, are we?
We're going to be lucky if we sign another one.
Yeah.
Remember, this is Levy we're talking about here. This is Tottenham. It's just, I mean, the fact that we've taken this long to get VDV anyway is a joke on its own.
I know. It should have been.
It should have been done and dusted.
Yeah.
So where are we going to go now? And then we are not in a good position at the moment. Okay, we had an all right game with Brentford and that, fine. But Yeah, you wait until we play Man U next week if they actually want to play, because they didn't look good against Wolves. And you wait until we go and play someone like, I hate to say it, like Arsenal or whatever, we are going to get torn to pieces.
I agree. Speaking of sense backs, you guys were talking about Dyer. I just want to say that guy is so deluded because today, Romero, Van de Ven, Sanchez, I would even put Jaffa Tanganga over him, thinking like Postecoglou. He would be fifth choice if Postecoglou decides to play Ben Davies as a centre back. Davies would be ahead of him as well.
Yeah,
He's sixth choice centre back, and he still doesn't want to leave. I don't want to hear this story. Oh, he has a mentality. He loves Tottenham and he wants to turn it around. He doesn't want to. He never wants
he's had
to.
years to do that.
Well, what is it? He wants to put his ashes on the turf of Tottenham.
On the stadium.
Yeah.
Well,
it's ridiculous. And
let
for
me
me,
set
the
you on
Sanchez...
fire and put your ashes on. Then go away with the wind.
But about the Sanchez situation, I wanted to bring this because, look, I'm gonna put my hands up and say he didn't play that bad against Brentford. I really didn't think so. However, with the ball on his feet, he was terrible. And considering we want to be a team that wants to be pressing high and keeping possession most of the game, he's not it. He shouldn't be given another chance. He doesn't fit the system. Yeah, he doesn't fit the system. I wouldn't give him another chance. But seems like he's gonna stay. He was actually the only center back we had rumors was gonna leave. We had that Spartak Moscow rumor. Apparently, he said no. But now Romero, we don't know if he's gonna play on Saturday. Langley,
don't.
But apparently now talks have completely broken down because
we're still linked with Tosin
won
as
50
well,
million euros.
We're still with Tosin.
Yeah.
For them, I think.
Yeah. He wants Monaco though.
Does
now
he
wants to go to Monaco. Yeah.
I think
another
the issue is the issue with Sanchez,
go
right?
on.
Talk about players like this, is that if we talk about Sanchez back in 2017, right? It's easy to plug Sanchez in the team like that, which are very settled, and you have like Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Danny Rose, players like that all around him in the back line. So you can get away with say one bad player, let's say, or one average player. But when you have a back line with like Emerson, Udogie, who like we said we praised, but he's very young, so he will make mistakes. And obviously you've got Van de Ven, who's another new centre half. Putting someone like Sanchez makes you a lot. It's like a lot weaker compared to someone like Romero, because at least Romero's been in the club for 2 years. So it's like a much bigger impact having Sanchez in the side now compared to say if you had Sanchez back in the side in Pochettino's time.
He just suits this style more of where he's got pace on him. That's the thing that covers him here, because he can get back. He has got the pace to do it. Whether he fixes it or not when he gets back level with him or not is a different story. And I thought he definitely had a better game than. He'd be one of the players that I actually said had a better game instead of a worse game. But we have no other options. Davis hasn't got the pace to come back. Dyer, like we said, Tanganga. We just have no bloody options there, especially for this style of play now. If anything, it's harder for them to play the defenders this style than the previous style, because at least the previous one, they could basically just stand there. This one, they actually have to move. And now we've got VDV who can, he's got some pace on him. You definitely saw that. Romero isn't slow, fine. But then after that, Sanchez is quick. Then we repeat ourselves again. Dyer, slow. Tanganga, slow. Davis, slow. We need more centre backs.
But do you think then that he might do, say, if he plays Porro, like do Porro and Davies tucks in, and Porro goes up, Davies might go into midfield and Porro might play like Udogie on the other side, or?
No, I think you got the wrong way round on that one, mate. Porro is worse than Royale as a right back.
No, I'm saying, but because obviously we don't have any alternatives. Like, would he do it like that? Do you think?
But alternatives don't come into this one. You don't stick Porro as your right back. He's not.
No, I don't want to. I'm just saying, based on what we did.
I'd rather have Royale there. Is what I'm saying. I would rather have Royale. He's that little bit safer as a defense. I mean, Porro is, for me.
I know as a right back,
Porro. I would want him where Kulusevski's playing.
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying. There. I'm just trying to like speculate about what he might do.
He can cross it. He can pass the ball. He can run with the ball. He's got a good little shot on him. He can take a free kick. He can take a corner. I mean, personally, I'd take Kulusevski and Son off. And like I said to everybody last year who didn't want to bloody listen, Perisic is not a wing back. He only did it good at Inter Milan because SerieA is that much slower. As soon as he goes on for Croatia, where do they stick him? Attacking midfield left. Why? Because he can cross that ball probably better than anyone else we've got. I would personally be playing him up there with Porro on the right.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Kulusevski and Son. If I play Son, I want to play Son in the middle as my striker. Because, all right, he can't head the ball, but he can definitely shoot with both feet and everything. He's lost a yard of pace or whatever, but I think he could definitely be a good poacher there, and I think he would definitely be better than Richarlison, which isn't really hard either. So again, at the back, we have no option, because for me, Porro isn't even an option for a right back. He'll be worse than Royale. I mean, if anything, you're better off sticking Davis as your right back than sticking Porro there. That's how bad a defender he is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on to midfield, there is one question I want to bring here, because Bissouma and Maddison played really well. In my opinion, Skip wasn't that good because he simply doesn't offer much with the ball in his feet. Okay, he brings energy, he defends quite well, recovers the ball quite well, but on the ball, he's not that good. So I wanted to bring this question because for me, it shouldn't be Skip. But for you guys, who should be our third man in midfield alongside Bissouma and Maddison? Because probably Bentancur is going to come back.
When's he coming back?
He's got about,
I'm thinking 2 months.
He's got about 2 months. But here's the question with Bentancur. When everyone comes back from the injury that he's had, look what happened to Van Dijk. Never been the same man since, has he? I haven't actually seen a player come back who's totally ripped his ligament, totally snapped it, come back and be as good a player as they were. That's one of those injuries, like if you bust your back, you'll only fix it 80%. And then when you do it again, you'll only fix it 80% of that 80%. You will never, ever fix it again. And that goes same on the ligaments. You go do your ligament or you go do your Achilles, you will never, ever fix it. Like, you're better off just breaking a bone, basically. Because you break a bone, it heals back together, sometimes stronger than it was, unless you splinter it. You go and snap your tendon and that, I don't think he's going to come back to what he was. I think we should now be playing more. I think we should be playing Sarr. I think he's got a hell of a lot to offer there. Or even go and stick Højbjerg there. Just not Skip. I don't think he had a terrible game, but he definitely didn't have a good game. He was one you could rate as a 5. He didn't do anything wrong as such, but he definitely didn't do anything right either. So where do we go again? I think we should be playing Sarr there or Højbjerg there at the moment, because again, limited in that position. Bissouma can even cover that bit, but for me, Bissouma has got to be our box-to-box man, because for me, he was a 9 out of 10 in that game. So at the moment, I'd be starting Sarr or Højbjerg over Skip all day long.
I think for me, it depends who we're playing against, because I know a lot of people calling for Lo Celso, yeah. So are you going to have 3 potentially creative players all in the same midfield, and Bissouma's going to have to, like you said, drop back? Or if you play Sarr, you've got more energetic player, but then, I don't know. So it depends who we're playing against, I think. But I think Bissouma and Maddison are almost guaranteed starters this season because
without a doubt.
Games. Yeah.
I mean, them two, even if we played a 4-2-3-1, them two there would be perfectly fine. But we're obviously playing a 3 there, and we're obviously using the number 6, so the others can come forward and he can bring that back into a 3.
Yeah.
So for that one, if anyone, you're going to have to look at Højbjerg. He's the stronger one. I'm not saying he's good, but he's definitely the stronger
It's
one.
probably the best option we have there.
Well, our best option we have there is Bissouma. But I don't want to lose what he gives us as box to box because there's no other player that can match that as a box to box, basically. Højbjerg definitely can't do that. Maddison won't be doing that because he's our playmaker. Sarr, yeah, he could possibly do that one. So you could switch either Bissouma or Sarr round, whatever. But yeah, it's another one we're in a little bit of a situation with. For me, I'd definitely start Sarr over Skip though, all day long.
I
what
have
other
to agree
options
with
do we
that.
have?
I would play Sarr. I would.
Yeah.
Even though I thought Lo Celso looked better on preseason, he just defensively he's just not that guy. Maddison is not going to defend that well either, so there's just no balance.
Lo Celso is our cover for Maddison, basically.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I agree.
Or you could even get away with trying him as a box to box. But when he was at Villarreal, from what I did notice, he played more as a deep line playmaker, attacking playmaker, like what you'd expect of Maddison. So for me, Lo Celso is my cover for Maddison. I think you'll get more off a defensive midfielder off of Sarr than you would off of Lo Celso. He isn't one that likes to sit back and defend. He likes to get forward, pass the ball, have a look about. Let's just say he's a poor man's Maddison in my eyes.
Yeah, I had to agree. Okay, now we're gonna get into the juicy stuff, the kind of stuff that can get Tommy's channel canceled, depending on what we say. Because the question, and I'm gonna start with you, Haz. I'm gonna throw you into the fire here. I didn't want him. I'm already gonna say I didn't want him. He was the chosen one. But for you, is Sonny captain material? Because he's been criticized a lot after the game.
About this, but no way. And you know what really annoyed me the most? So obviously Ange came out and said, "Oh, well, I've watched him for a long time, blah 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 blah," to the press because they asked him about it. Now, if you saw on Twitter, I'm sure this was like good reports, by the way. They're saying that apparently the players unanimously voted Sonny to be captain. Now, bear in mind, these players have let this club down for the past 3 or 4 years. So why would you let the players pick the captain? I think it's really stupid. And to me, it came across as like a popularity contest. It's like, oh, Sonny's like the most likable person, so let's just make him the captain. And it could also be the whole. I was seeing the theory that he'll sell the most shirts because he's the captain and blah blah blah, which could be a factor. But even as a person, like, I'm not saying he's a bad person. Like I say, he's a nice guy, but he doesn't, to me, come across as someone who has leadership qualities.
No way. I totally agree with you. I mean, for me, especially after how crap he was last season. Now, I've been a big fan of Son over the years, but last season he was bloody terrible. Yeah, okay, everyone can say so was everybody apart from Harry Kane, basically, yeah, and Benson before he got done. But for me, I think Romero could be captain material for more of a future. He's still too fiery at the moment. That's why I'm still sceptical with him and VDV at the back, because I personally think Romero needs a daddy next to him to slap him around the back of the head and say, fix up, yeah? That's why I'm shaky with them two, but we'll see. Højbjerg, on the pitch, you could definitely say he's captain material for the mouth he's got, but for what he can do on the pitch and how often he'll play, would it be worth making him captain? Again, I don't think so. I would have personally gone for either Maddison or Bissouma. And out of the two of them, I'd have probably gone for Bissouma because he's a bit more quiet, a bit more down to earth. But you can see he's definitely got passion on that pitch and you can look up to him when he's playing. Maddison, he's got all the mouth on him. Yes, he has. But sometimes, like it nearly did in the other game, that can also get you in trouble. He was actually lucky he didn't get a second yellow card, I thought, because he got a bit too saucy for his own good. So for me, I would have gone Bissouma. Son, even when he come off the pitch, he had his head down like that and he looked like he was going to cry. He's not. I don't care if he's captain for South Korea. I really don't care. They don't exactly have many good options there for captain either. But for me, no chance, especially the way he's played and everything. And Son is not my sort of captain material. Everyone goes on about, but it's not all about mouth. It's not all about... I still look on captain material of someone like Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, that's
someone like
that's
Roy Keane, someone like Pirlo, you know? Even Del Piero used to have a mouth on him when he used to be captain for Juventus. Bit of a soft fella, but, you know, if we go back on the older days and that, a captain had a pair of balls on him, basically. Son, in that aspect, he might as well be a virgin. He's not captain material in my eyes. I would have gone for Basuma or Maddison.
I think someone in the middle, really, like either in midfield or in defence to be a captain, really, yeah.
Goalkeeper isn't a good idea, and I don't think a striker is a good idea because I think they're the ones who are the furthest out of the way of the game as such. You need someone, for my choice, it is defence or midfield. I totally agree with you. But my captain would always be someone in the line of a Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira sort of thing. That is what I would have. And yeah, for me, that's either Basuma or Maddison. Son, I think he is a terrible pick as a captain.
Unfortunately, again, Dan, we don't really have many options. So it's like, who'd you pick?
Well, we did have two other better options there, and we didn't pick them. I think we'd have probably even done better off if we stuck VDV as bloody captain.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. It's
I know you can't do that because he's fresh young boy, whatever else and that, yeah. But Basuma's well enough known in the Premiership, and that Maddison's been about the block. He captained Leicester a fair few times, didn't he?
Yeah.
And again, back to the same thing. I repeat myself. Son, no, he's that little mate who comes out with you and says the odd word here and there, and then stands back and has his shandy sort of thing while you and your mates are knocking back the beers and everything being loud. And he'll say that little comical thing you all laugh at and buy him another shandy. He's just too much of a boy material for me to be captain.
That's brilliant.
You know what the problem is for me with Son being captain is because he was the worst player on the pitch. And to be completely honest, playing on the way he is, and not even only, and I'm trying to say the role he has on Postecoglou's team, I don't think he's going to improve because I just don't think he fits the role. He's not going to come off. I don't think Postecoglou will actually drop him if needed because he's the main captain now. So he's probably going to start most of the games. But he's a guy who every single time, and I did have a special attention to Son on the game. Everything he does is he gets the ball, does a couple step overs, he either passes back to Udogie or passes to the closest midfielder to him.
Because he can't get it past
That's all he did the whole game. And like, for me, for him to be captain is just that. And last season, it was clear he was frustrated. It was clear he was getting into a shell throughout the season because he was not scoring goals, he was not performing like before, and he was just getting frustrated and he was not being himself. If he doesn't improve this season, and if he keeps going the way he was last season, we're going to have a captain that, like Dan said, is going to be just a virgin on the pitch, to be honest.
It's going to hurt us.
And I like captains who go and complain and they get on the referee. And that brings me to my next question, because Dan said Romero is a little bit too fiery, but some people were actually saying that maybe giving him the captain armband would make him a little bit calmer because he knows he's a captain and needs to stay on the pitch. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think?
Possible. I don't think he's quite ready just yet. But again, I would have picked him over Son. You want your captain to have
I would
a
have
power.
picked all the other players in the squad over Son, because I think you don't reward someone who's had a bad season like that with a captaincy.
I mean, it's like you said, what choices do we have? But as far as I'm concerned, we did have better options. And for me, Basuma is, I wouldn't say my perfect captain, but he's definitely up there. He might not be the loudest one out of it, but you can definitely look up to him when there's trouble on the pitch. You can definitely see you're playing poor, but you can see he's still up, down. He's getting things right. He's got the heartbeat of the team, like a Patrick Vieira used to, like a Roy Keane used to, like Pirlo used to, and many others I can name. He's got that. And I think he's also got enough balls on him to basically tell someone, fix up. Maddison, he's definitely got mouth on him, 110%. Whether you see as much of a solid game out of him regular as you do Basuma is a different story. But Basuma is one for me that you're going to see a solid 7 nearly every game he plays, at least. Yeah. Even if we do terrible, you're still going to see him doing the right things. Maddison, I think it's going to be very... You'll see more good than bad, but I think Basuma was our best option. Son is just... He's not captain material. Not at all. I mean, again, Son, he's that sort of... You're in the pub with your mate and you see a couple of fit women there, so you want to go chat them up. You want your mate to give you a hand doing it, but he's just the one who'll stand there and say, "Hi, my name's Son," and then you got to do all the bloody work to pull your bird, and then do all his work to pull his bird for him as well. He's not a captain man. Sorry, no.
Also, the position he's playing in, if he's going to play on the left wing, is also like one of the worst positions to have a captain. I'd say, even worse than a striker, I think.
Yeah, for me, Son is just look. I think neither of them played well, and I think when it comes to the front three, there are two different worlds because Richarlison is just he didn't really get the service he needed, but also when he got the service, he had a really good chance. Just took too much time to finish, and it got blocked. So I think Richarlison not only suffering with lack of service, but also he's in a bad moment. Son and Kulusevski, for me, is also more of a case of the system. But Kulusevski, to me, what makes me annoyed about Kulusevski is his lack of pace. I think in this system, we need to have really fast wingers. But he was trying one-on-one. So he's trying to take on his opponent, trying to finish. Son wasn't. Son doesn't try to do that. He's scared of doing it. And how should a guy like him that is scared to play football be the captain? I didn't want Son as captain. Actually, I don't think any of our players, apart from Bissouma and Maddison, should be captain. The only two. And I would actually look to get a proper center back who is a captain, who is that captain material above anything else.
Yeah.
Because we need someone. For example, let's say we're playing... Even in the game against Brentford, let's say, go to Emerson Royal and say, "Mate, you're shit defending. Do something. Improve. Be better." Because we don't have that guy. Son is not going to be that guy. Okay, he might say something during the game, but he's not that guy that's going to impose himself because he's seen as the popular guy who's friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And it's
He's
the
not
kind
going
of
to
a
pick
guy
the team
that...
up. He's not going to pick him up and say, "Come on, let's do it."
Do you guys remember the documentary when Lloris had a go at him for not running back? Do you remember that?
He got angry. And do you know what it looks like? Like Son, he is the popular guy that everybody's friends with. And if he starts being the guy who starts complaining, people are going to look at him in a different way. People are going to go, he's starting to get annoying. I'm not really going to listen to him. Because he's not the guy that imposes like a leadership in the team. He's just the guy that aggregates everyone and makes everyone happy, but not the guy that you're going to look up and okay, if I make a mistake, he's going to say something to me. But at the same time, you're just scared, but you respect him and you respect his opinion. So for me, Son was never the right choice. He's not captain material. South Korea, he's probably the best player they've ever had in history. That's why, for example, it happened with Brazil a lot of the time, Neymar being the captain until Chichi decided, okay, you might be the star, you might be the best player we have, but you're not the captain. Not anymore. And we're trying to find someone new. So I think Son could be the same case, but I didn't like the choice of him as a captain. I really didn't. And it seems like it's a big discussion, especially on Twitter now, because he was criticized a lot. And I think actually most of the fans didn't like as well after this first game.
Oh, I should tell you what someone told me on Twitter. Sorry, he goes, because I was like, I don't agree with Son as captain yet. And he replied to me, you can find it on my Twitter. And he goes, "Oh, well, he'll bring positivity." And I'm like, because he brought the players up to do a huddle. And I was like, but mate, doesn't mean he's a leader. It just means he's doing a huddle. Like,
yeah, well done.
I just don't understand.
I've just had my kiss on the cheek off my mate. I'm now going to give it my all, yeah? Like,
literally,
I'm not.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think he's that much of a bad option as captain that I think Eric Dyer would make a better captain than him, and Eric Dyer shouldn't even be at the bloody club. I would have picked Eric Dyer as captain in front of bloody Son. Now, not because I think he's a good player, not because I think he should even be at Spurs, let alone on the pitch. Where Son, if we get it right with him, stick him in the middle. Because one thing Son's definitely lost, he is one of those players that you can relate as a similar to. Now, some are going to say this sounds a bit crazy, but Ronaldo. Now, the reason I put him similar to that is because Ronaldo wasn't as skillful as a lot of people think. Messi was the one with the skill. Ronaldo was very good with the power. Yeah, he was good on his foot. But what was it he always used to do? Knock it past them, run past them. And that's exactly what Son used to do. Son's lost his pace. He's lost a yard. He can't do that so easy anymore. That's why I think we got to play him down the middle now instead of playing him on the side. Because Son was a bad idea for captain. To the fact that you've even got me saying that I'd have rather picked Eric Dyer as captain, and he shouldn't be at the club.
Okay, I think we've talked quite enough about the game. I don't think there's much else to talk about unless you guys have anything you want to say, or can we move on?
I think it's going to take us a long time. It's going to take us easily a while to adapt to this sort of style. But for the style he wants, the more and more you look at it, the more and more I don't think we got the right players. To play his style, we're going to have to play players that adapt, that fit to that style better. And they're almost players that people were saying get rid of. Again, on the left, all day long, we should have Perisic there, without a doubt, because he can cross that ball. Kulusevski, I think you actually get more out of him as a number 10 than you do on the wing, because Juventus played him as a number 10 a few times. Now, the reason I reckon he'd work here as a 10 is because he hasn't got the pace, but what he can do is hold his back to the goal. He's big enough strongly. He has got the skill on his feet, and he can pass it either way as well. So I think you'd actually get more out of Kulusevski as a 10, but we don't need that when we've got Maddison and Lo Celso there. I think Kulusevski's in a bit of a lost bit now because everyone's sussed him out. He steps to the left and tries to do it with his left foot. Everyone's got his sussed. So, again, I think there's some big decisions that he's got to make here on who he actually wants to play there, because I don't think it's necessarily the best players that we need to play. We need to play the better players for the formation we want to play. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I'm with you on Kulusevski, Dan, as well. It's something I've been pushing, because I think, apart from the fact he's predictable, I don't think he has the pace to play this system. Out on the right, you're not gonna have enough to go up and down.
Yeah. But I think Dan, he just made the perfect transition, because I don't know if we're gonna have a show on Thursday, because of course Tommy's on vacation. But what? Wait, didn't go.
Looking forward to Man U. I can't say so. I can't say I am. The only good thing we've got with Man U is VDV with Rashford, but we'll get to that one in a minute.
I think we're going to get battered, to be honest.
I think we're going to get torn a new one, to tell you the truth. They didn't look good against Wolves, not at all. I'll tell you one who's going to be interesting with Man U, and that's Onana.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I watched him play enough last year, where he played for Inter Milan. Very good goalkeeper. But you see, his big problem is he's exactly like Lloris. And what do I mean by that? He's eccentric, I think is the word. Yeah? On a spur, he can make some crazy decisions at goalkeeper. Like, what the hell were you doing?
Go back, Thiago. Yeah, you're back.
And then there's other ones where he can actually make it. He's just so erratic on his decisions. There's no... I mean, look what he did. That should have been a penalty all day long for Wolves, should it not? Did you see it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he nearly knocked the fella out, for God's sake, yeah? I mean, there, we go back to the good old VAR and the referee not having a bloody clue what he was doing. But he's definitely going to be an interesting one to watch for Man U, because I think they're going to have some trouble with him, and they're also going to see some spectacular saves of him. But then they're also, when he cocks it up, he's going to cock it up good. Like Lloris made some very good saves, but he was so eccentric. Every time the ball came, I felt safer in goal with Fraser Forster than I did Lloris in the end. Because at least Lloris, you had an idea. He knew what he was. Lloris just didn't seem to know what he was going to do before he did it. It's going to be an interesting one having him at Man U to see what he does for him. Definitely.
Yeah, before I cut off, I'm sorry, it's because today here in Brazil we had a huge power cut in 11 different states at the same time.
Oh wow!
And one of the states that was affected was mine, so we're having some problems with internet and energy. So I apologize that I froze for a little bit, but I brought the Man United banner because Dan made the perfect transition. I'm gonna go to Hats for this one first. Would you make any changes for the game? And I'm asking this because I don't know if Tommy is going to do a stream on Thursday.
All right.
And we're probably not going to be on. So let's talk a little bit about Man United. Okay. What do you guys think about formation?
I'd keep this. Unfortunately, I have to keep the same back four because I'd rather or back five because I'd rather they play together more, try and get familiar at least. Obviously, hopefully Romero's going to play because it's that issue with the concussion thing. So
he'd be all right. He'd be all right. I don't even think he had concussion. He just got a bit of a slap and they just done it. I don't even think he needed to come off.
I didn't either. But yeah, and maybe I'd put Sarr in for Skip, just have a bit more energy in midfield. And then I'd put Perisic, Porro, and Richarlison as my strikers. That's what I would do. Yeah.
You see, with what you say there, yeah. Now you can get away with playing Son on the left or Kulusevski on the right, as long as you don't play them both together. Now, both together, game over in that aspect. But at least if you've got Porro on the right, crossing it over, then Richarlison can come through the middle. And Son can cut in as well. And then we've got that side of the goal in the middle covered through the person crossing it over. Now, if you switch it over to the other side, take Son off, put Perisic on there, then Kulusevski can cut in as an inverted winger, inverted forward, whatever you bloody want to call it these days, and Richarlison going forward. With Perisic bringing the crosses over. We got options. When you've got two people that don't bloody cross the flipping ball, we're screwed. And that showed blatantly the other day. So you can get away with playing one of them just as long as it's only one of them. And at the moment, I'd probably go for Kulusevski on the right, tell him to cut in deeper and play Perisic, keep him out wider and just keep floating them balls over with his left foot like he does. Richarlison steaming there. Kulusevski coming from the side and then get Maddison covering the outside for if the ball comes out because he can take a good long shot as well. That is how I would do it on that one.
Okay, so formation is done and this comment. Saturday will be the same 11 starting, but a much more open game, more space for Son, Richarlison, and Kulusevski to run into. I didn't get to watch the game yesterday because I was at the hospital with my grandma and they didn't have the game on the TV, so I didn't watch. But what I've heard is that Wolves played way better than Man United.
Yeah, they did.
So, do you guys agree? Do you guys think we'll have much more space?
I actually think United might sit back and try and hit us on the counter.
Do you know what? With the way we're playing, you can get someone to play an old school way like you used to do. I'm 42 now, and I remember when I used to play as a goalkeeper when I was younger, and then started playing defensive midfield. And the way it used to be, everyone just wanted to push up all the time, and that so someone would say, "Right, just kick the ball over the top of them." And when they've got someone like the pace they've got there, they can do that. But that's where we've got two defenders that have got pace on them. Romero's quick enough, and Van der Ven. You see it the other day, the fella's quick. My question is with him is what is he like? How quick is he when the ball's at his feet? It's all good being able to sprint, but how quick is he going to be with a ball at his feet? I still don't think you're going to see much out of Son, and if we keep the same on the attack, you're going to see no crosses coming in. So one of them needs to go. Kulusevski or Son, one of them needs to come off for someone who can 100% cross that ball over. But will the manager do that? We shall see.
I don't think he will change anything. As in, he might change one of the attackers, but I think Son's going to play now because he's the captain. I don't.
I'd rather play Son. I'd rather play Son in the middle then, and stick Perisic on the right, on the left. Sorry. But Son for me is finished as a winger. He's done. He's dusted. Over. Where you're going to get the most out of him is if we stick him in the middle. This is where
as like a poacher.
Yeah, basically a poacher. I mean, he can't head the ball for shit, so he's a poacher is going to be his best style, basically. And he can kick it. He can place it with 2 feet. So I think he's a better option there than Richarlison, basically. I mean, Richarlison just runs about like he's lost the plot, basically. And yeah, we get a couple of goals out of him, but at least a couple's more than one.
Good. So let's talk about transfers. Who doesn't love a little bit of transfer rumor, right? The first question I want to bring about transfers, we have a few because we have a few things going on. The first one I wanted to bring is Ndombele because apparently he's on his way out. The rumor I saw today is that Fenerbahce is going to make a 13 million euro offer for Tottenham, and that should be enough for both clubs to strike a deal. My question is to you guys, is Ndombele the worst transfer in Tottenham's history?
Yes. Why? Because he cost that much money. The annoying thing is with someone like Ndombele, he's blatantly got skill, and he's got very good skill, and you can see that. For me, he's what you would call a poor man's Ozil. Now, I'm not saying Ozil was good, and we all know he could place the ball, but he was lazy on that pitch, was he not? But you'd see, usually once a game, you'd see a special pass out of him here or there. With Ndombele, you won't see that. You'll see a special pass every other game or something like that. I think the man's fat. I think he's lazy. I think he just don't bloody care. He don't like to do nothing unless the ball is literally, here, mate, there's the ball. It's on your foot. Go do something now, mate. And even then he'll stand there and like break a sweat and say, do I have to? He's lazy. He don't cover up and down the pitch. He don't get himself into positions. What does he actually do? Apart from, out of nowhere, come up with this special bit of skill that he has actually got. For me, I think he's probably one of, if not the worst signing the Premiership's ever seen. That's taking in how much money he cost. What was it? 65 mil? 55 mil?
Yeah, 65, yeah.
Something like that. So 65 euros, that's about 65 million euros. That's about 52 million pounds roughly then, yeah? Tell me a worse signing. I mean, you can't even say Harry Maguire's been that fucking shit. Sorry. You can't even say at least Harry Maguire's had a few good games for Man U. And he does all right for his cut. For me, Ndombele, he needs putting down. You need to put him down. Or you need to kick him out. One or the other.
You know what I think is interesting about these Tottenham players is because, for example, Harry Maguire, he's for sale, but he has interest. West Ham want him. Other English clubs think about signing him. Tottenham players, nobody wants them. Like DIER have all these rumors, but there was never like a concrete rumor of a club making an offer. And Ndombele, the same thing. It always seems lowballing Tottenham, like, 8 million euros, 6 million euros, or low one with option to buy. It's just weird that our Deadwood is different because they're so shit. Nobody wants them.
They know we're also so desperate to get rid of them. They'll leave it. They're doing it. What is happening at Spurs, is what Levy has been doing for years. Now, we go back to this phase quickly, just changing it a second. Spurs have the third biggest income in sport. Not the Premiership, sport as a whole. Do people realise how much money that is that Tottenham have coming into them? Everybody knows it. Even once we've paid off the debt for the stadium yearly, this and that, we still made a profit of over 300 million. Profit of over 300 million after debts were paid. Everybody knows that. So everyone we go for, they're now going to do what Spurs used to do. They're going to say, right, like Man U would come for Berbatov and say, for instance, for 30 million. I'm just going an example, yeah? And we would turn around and say, well, no, you're Man United. You're paying 45 million because you've got that money. Everybody knows Tottenham's got that money now. So that's what everyone's doing to Tottenham. And the other way Levy used to do it as well was when he knew that other teams had to get rid of that player because they needed the money, he would wait until the last day of the season and say, well, look, no one else has offered. I'll give you 20 million, even though you wanted 35. Take it or leave it, mate.
Yeah,
and because they need the money, they'd take it.
Mm.
Reverse the situation. Everybody knows that we are that desperate to get rid of that amount of shit deadwood we've got that they will literally leave it till last day of the season and say, do you know what? Give us 5 million and we'll take Eric Dyer, but you're still paying half his wages. That you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And like with Ndombele, they say, "Well, tell you what, you paid 65 for him. We give you 5 million for him, and you're still paying half his wages. That's the best offer we give you." And for us, it's either we take that or we have to hang on to the crap we've got, and everybody knows it. And this is what Levy's been doing to people for years. Call it karma, if you will.
Mm.
Doesn't sound positive, I know, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say he's definitely the most disappointing signing in Spurs history because he came with like all this talent and supposedly he was going to fix our midfield when Dembele got sold, and he's been probably one of the worst players I've seen in the past like 10 years at Tottenham, probably maybe even more.
I can't really name anyone who's done worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
For what they were bought
paid
for and everything.
Yeah.
Now, Basuma, however, that's our new Dembele.
Mm.
He's got a lot of likeness to it. But going back on the Ndombele thing, okay, the fella here says Vincent Janssen, yeah, but he didn't cost 65 million. He cost 20.
Bad, but I
if
don't
I
think as
remember
bad
right.
as Ndombele.
At least he tried.
Yeah, and Ndombele, he just stands there. You might as well go buy him a Big Mac and then he might jog. But that is how shit I think he is. I think he is absolutely awful. Absolutely terrible. Salgado, okay. He scored a couple of goals, though, and he didn't cost 65 million, did he? No, he was a bad signing, but he was still not as bad as Ndombele. I can't really think of a player in the Premiership that has been bought for that amount of money that has ended up that much of a cock-up. Not even, like I said, not even Harry Maguire has been that bad.
I think it's also with Ndombele that he just doesn't try. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
No, he's lazy.
That's what makes it worse. Like, if he at least tried, even these shit players that we named before, at least they tried.
He doesn't. Yeah. He just don't care. He's getting his money. He don't give a shit. He does not care about anything except maybe like he's getting his chicken nuggets after or something. I don't know because I think the man looks overweight at the best of times.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just a barrel bill fella. Maybe he's a bit hench in that. Well, I don't know. Do an extra cup. He don't even jog. He walks after the ball basically. He won't do nothing. He's lazy. But the annoying thing is everyone knows he has got a bit of skill to him, and he has.
That's what makes it so annoying.
Yeah, but again, like I said, he's a poor man's Ozil, and Ozil was exactly the same as him, but he put a little bit more effort in than him. And yeah, for 65 million, do tell me someone who's been a worse signing in the Premiership for that amount of money. I think he has been the worst signing ever. And that's not just for Tottenham, but for the actual Premiership.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think he played a couple of... I mean, you look at last season. Now, out of all the games he played for Napoli last season, he started one game. One game. One whole 90 minutes he done. And then the rest for 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there and whatever. And that was only when the game was already won 3-0. They didn't bring him on once when they was 2-1 down and they needed to put some effort in to get that draw or maybe get it, or it was 0-0 and get it to a win. That is what that fella is like. He is poor. He's just not good. He's not a football player in my eyes. He hasn't got it. I don't know what you two think of him, but for me, I'd rather keep Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would even rather keep Harry Winks and play, even though he's gone, I would rather play Harry Winks than Ndombele all day long. Why? Because you'd at least see him make an effort. He might cock everything up and he might only pass the ball backwards or sideways, but he'd at least run for the ball. He'd at least make a bit of effort. All right, he'd probably fall over his own 2 feet and whatever, but at least he's making in the effort. And Ndombele, you just see him there, he don't move. He don't do nothing. All right, he scored a goal. Well done. What was it, Sheffield United?
Yeah, Sheffield United.
Yeah, one of us could have gone on and probably scored that. All right, he's had a moment here or there. For 65 million. Let's change subject because I can go on about this prick all
The
night.
funny thing is
can't
that,
stand it.
when they said Ndombele was going to get a second chance on the Ange, and then there were people that made comments about the way he walked into the training, and then you see like the compilations again, and then Ndombele remontada with this bullshit. I'm just like, why are we wasting our time on this guy?
Yeah, body language. This is body language.
Exactly. It's his attitude. He's lazy. Unless you literally put that ball at his foot, and even then he looks at you, oh, do I have to kick it? Really? Do I have to put that effort in? Your mate, disappear, go away. Get burnt with the ashes. Do what you got to do. Get put down. Whatever. Go away. Get burnt with the undead.
Let's move on to another topic, which I'm just trying to figure out here because it
what do you think of this
went
new
away.
Striker that we're meant to be going for? The one from
what's
his name?
Gift ORBAN. Yeah.
ORBAN.
That's what I was gonna talk about. It's because there was a banner here that Tommy made, but it just went away. Okay, found it. So apparently we're looking at strikers: ORBAN, Jonathan David, Ivan Toney. Would you guys sign a striker? And if yes, who would be? Doesn't need to be one of the three. It can be anyone you choose.
Toney. I'd go Ivan Toney, and if we put in a bit of money for him now, we're getting for cheaper and that because he can't play till January. I'd go Ivan Toney because he's definitely more of a complete striker than the others that we know of. I mean, this one from Gwen, he's meant to be really good, but I can't vouch for him or not vouch for him. I haven't seen him. I'd only ever heard of him until the other day. I hadn't even seen him on FIFA or Football Manager. So I can't say I've even heard of the player. But the one I'd go for is Ivan Toney because he's got experience in the Premiership. He's got enough pace on his feet. He's not double quick, but he's quicker than Kane was. In a way, he's a bit of a poor man's Harry Kane, but I don't really see better offers unless this ORBAN is that good. But I can't vouch for him.
Do you think that would you take Toney even though he's going to stay out until at least January? You just stick with Richarlison until then.
Well, we haven't exactly got much option, have we? Unless we go for the other fella, ORBAN, but he hasn't played a game in the Premiership. So would he even be starting material yet? Because this is what we keep saying. The Premiership, you have to adapt to it. You have to get to learn to it. I mean, in that aspect, we got the little fella from Argentina, didn't we? I don't think... Yeah, I think you might see a cup game off of him somewhere this season, but that's about it. If you're going to bring in someone who at least knows the Premiership, then Ivan Toney is your best option for me, and he's not going to cost you endless money as such. I'm not saying he'd be cheap, but then what do you call cheap these days? I mean, was Harry Kane really worth 120 million with 1 year left on his contract and being 30 years old? No, I wouldn't have said so. I mean, to Spurs, he was worth $1 billion, but that's just how the money goes these days. Like I said, I'd go for Ivan Toney personally.
I'm going to disagree, not because I don't rate Toney or anything, but I think ORBAN's actually a better choice. And shall I tell you why? Because I think ORBAN will be more fitting the more fluid front three than someone like Toney. I think Toney will just stick in like just the middle. And if you want a fluid front three, someone like ORBAN might be a better choice.
What fluid front three? Where's the fluid?
If we're gonna have one.
Yeah, but okay, go and stick him there alongside Son and Kulusevski. Where's the fluid?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say play someone like Porro on the right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying now.
But obviously, I don't know if he's going to change it. But I'm saying if you're going to play that sort of style, then you're going to need someone like that. I think Toney's just more of he'll just stick to the middle. Not that he's bad, but he'll just stick to the middle. Jonathan David, I don't really like from what I've seen of him. I watched him in a bit in the World Cup. I didn't really think he was that good. But yeah, Orban's more of a Spurs signing, I think, as well. He's cheaper, I think, than Tony would be. And yeah. Also, it depends how much of a chance they want to give Richarlison. If you're going to give Richarlison a chance, then if we're going to give him a chance. And giving someone like Tony, as soon as Tony comes in, he ain't going to get a game, is he? So,
Richarlison.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, Richarlison, in some aspects, the only way you can rate him not as much of a, I don't know, he could even be as much of a cock-up as Ndombele at the minute. But at least Richarlison puts effort in and that. But last season, we saw one goal out of him. Okay, they didn't play him in his main positions and that, I get that. But one bloody goal. You could have stuck Harry Kane as a left winger and you'd have seen at least more than one bloody goal. And the fella can't run for shit. The Belgium league is a lot smaller and a lot different to what it is over here. Is he going to be able to come over here and handle it? It's all ifs. It's all ifs and buts when it comes to this Orban fella. And he might be the better idea and look the better idea and everything. But like what I said at the very start, you go for history, don't you? Half the time. Because we need someone now, not someone who's going to do it in 2 years' time. I get bringing some players for the future and that. But a defender and a striker, we need. Or maybe even just wait until next season for a striker and stick with Son in the middle and Richarlison, build up the defence, get everything else sorted. Because I still think out of Son, if you stick him in the middle, you'll see 12 goals out of him, and same with Richarlison. But again, what other options do we have? We are quite limited in certain positions. Again, I'd stick with going for Tony, but maybe that Orban is better. But I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah,
Tony, I've seen him do it.
Yeah.
I can't really vouch for him either because I don't watch the Belgian league, but from what I've read and heard about him and watched as well, the kid looks good. But again, it's all ifs, buts, maybes. Like, we don't know if he's really going to work. I would be willing to give him a chance. I know he doesn't change much, but just to bring him here a little bit of his history, he actually has a different career because he was never part of a youth system in his life. Like 6 months ago, he was practicing at the beach in Nigeria, and now he's a professional football player scoring like 25 goals in 23 games in Belgium. So he has
Here's an example.
He has a difference
as a player. Yeah. Now, when we got to that Champions League semi-final, and one player who was playing extremely good for Ajax at the time was Van der Beek, was he not? He was doing very good in the Dutch league, and he also did show up in the Champions League. And as soon as he came over to England, where's he gone? Where actually is he now? Is he still at Man U? They can't even get rid of him themselves.
Yeah.
Another one. What's his name at Chelsea? The other one was at Ajax. Yeah.
Ziyech.
Okay, you saw a couple of things when he came over here, but he wasn't half the player he was at Ajax, wasn't he? Was he? No. Dutch league and Belgium league, they're very low leagues. Okay, they're better than the Scottish league, but then that's not particularly hard either, is it? So that's where that's where I have the difference here. A player can go to another league like the Dutch league or the Belgian league or the Scottish league, and they can look bloody spectacular. And then they come over to the Premiership and they barely even look average. Ivan Toney has done it in the Premiership. And he was the second top scorer last season when he, out of English players, if I remember right. He's done it, and he's done it at Brentford. I think Toney would be our best idea. I think Orban would be more of a gamble, but could work out better. But he's done it in the Belgian league, for God's sake. And people are saying, oh, no disrespect to the Belgian league. Look, let's just be straight, yeah? It's the Belgian bloody league. And yeah, all right, it lets out some good players and that, but it is not a strong league. Nor is the Dutch league. Ivan Toney's done it. So do we take the gamble? Or do we pay for a bit of money for someone who's proven? What do you two think?
Another thing with Tony is you have to wait till January to play him. If you sign him out,
Yeah, but we got cover there till then, with Richarlison and Son. That cover enough to then. Might not get what we want, but I think we'd see more out of Ivan Toney than either Son or Richarlison.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, there you go. Then we've definitely made an upgrade, haven't we? If we go for Tony, and like I said, he's already adapted to the Premiership. This other fella, Orban, like I say, he might be the next Messi, he might be the next Ronaldo. We don't bloody know. It's all ifs, buts, maybes, could be, will he be, this and that. Ivan Toney, you can say, if we stick him there, we get 15 goals. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Do you know someone I'd make a case for? I don't think he's maybe the best option out there, but Jonathan David is a guy that has been talked a lot about, and I would give him a chance because he also comes from the same club as Orban, but he's moved to France, and for 3 seasons he's been scoring lots of goals. He's been French champion. I think 2022 he had more goals than Mbappe in the league as well. He's done quite well. I would give him a chance. I don't think he's the worst. I think he's a case of a guy who started in the Belgian league and went to a better league, who is not as good, that is not as good as the Premier League, but he's done well in a top 5 league, let's say. So I don't think it would be the worst idea either.
I could see where you're coming from, but again, I think it comes down to the same thing as it does with Orban. Can he do it in the Premiership? It's again, we're going on all ifs, buts, maybes, opinions, this and that. Fact, Tony has done it. Fact, Tony can do it. The others, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. So again, for me, no one's given me a solid reason to pick Orban or Jonathan David over Tony.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Looking outside the transfer window, not only talking about strikers, but what do we still need from this transfer window? What do you think we still need? Other positions? Any players you'd like to see Spurs signing, going after?
A centre-half, guaranteed. I think we need another centre-half. I'd argue, and this is probably unpopular opinion, I'd rather spend all the money on defence from Kane. So I'd buy a left back and a right back and a centre half. But we're not going to do that.
I'll agree. No, I'll agree with that one, definitely.
Yeah.
I can tell you the centre back that I'd love us to go for, and I've wanted him for about 4 years. Milenkovic, Fiorentina. That would be I'd be out there straight away, 25, 30 mil you're getting, because Fiorentina are up shit street with the money at the moment. They really are. That's why they've just had to sell, what's his name? Igor. Is it Igor? Oh, I can't remember his bloody name now. Who's the one they just sold?
Igor. Do you mean Igor?
Igor, that's the one.
Yeah.
He was quite solid as well. Not as good as Milenkovic, but solid player. And they paid, 17 million for him? I mean, and I think everybody knows that as a whole at the moment, Europe is in trouble with money as a whole. I mean, just forget about the football. Europe is in trouble with money. England is probably the richest place in Europe at the moment. Then you go and look at the football. We absolutely wipe the floor with every other team out there. Even our teams are now having bigger income than Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. And PSG don't make nothing anyway. They just have lots of money to spend anyway. We could go out there and if we was willing to spend, we could go out there and sort it out. But we don't spend the bloody money. But I definitely agree with you. Right back, centre back would be my 2 priorities to go for. Because I think left back we're all right with. Right back we're definitely not. If anything, we're more shaky on the right back than we are the bloody centre backs.
Yeah.
So I think I would go out there, right back, centre back, and then maybe wait till January and go for Tony. But if we didn't go for a striker, I totally agree with what you said. I'd go for another 2 centre backs and a right back, and then leave the striker till next season because we've got cover as such there for the meantime.
Question then. After this first game, wouldn't you guys think about a winger? Someone who fits the system more than Sonny Kulusevski? At least one?
We were linked with Notto actually today from Leeds. I quite like Notto. I think he's got potential. But
we've already got cover there.
Yeah.
So, what's his name?
Solomon.
Solomon.
Yeah.
Again, he was one I forgot to mention earlier. I'd rather play Solomon on the wing than either Son or Kulusevski. Because he gets involved and he can cross the ball and he can pass the ball. All right. Still got a lot to prove, but he can definitely do it better than them two in that position. So I think on the wings, we're covered. I mean, on the right-hand side, we got Kulusevski, Porro, and Solomon can go up there as well. And then on the left, Son, if it must be. And then you can also stick Perisic up there, and Solomon can cover left and right.
Even Udogie could probably play there as well.
Yeah, he can. He has done at Udinese.
Yeah.
So I think in those positions, we're covered. Right back, centre back is our main issue. Otherwise, we got backups like Porro going there. He's just worse than Royale. Royale is just terrible there anyway. Centre back, if Romero or VDV get injured, we're then looking at Sanchez, Dier, or bloody Davis. We need another centre back, hands down, and our main place, I think, is a right back.
Going to midfield, let's say Højbjerg really goes to Atletico Madrid. We would need someone, right? You guys would have anyone in mind? Any type of midfielder? I would probably go for a perfect six.
I'd love to get Paulina from Fulham, but we're going to buy him. It's like 60, 70 million, isn't he? Yeah.
No, there's a better one for that and cheaper than that. Now, Kesey would have been a good one, but he obviously went off to Saudi Arabia. There's one very similar to him who I actually think is better, but would he make it in the Premiership? I think he's got the muscle to do it. What's his bloody name now? PSV defensive midfielder. I can't remember his name now.
Sangare, something like that.
I think that's, you know what one I'm on about.
PSV's
defensive midfielder. I can't remember his name. Ivan something or even something. I can't remember his bloody name now. I'm terrible remembering names.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was injured for 3 months.
But he's the one I'd definitely go
Ugarte
for.
is going to PSG, by the way. Sorry. Just saying that Ugarte is going to PSG.
Let me just check something.
I was like, quickly. Douglas Luiz, did he sign a new contract at Villa or not?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't. Look, there is this one guy. I know people don't know who he is, but his name is André. He's 21 years old, and he's a defensive midfielder. He plays for a Brazilian club called Fluminense, and they have this crazy possession-based style. I think he would fit perfectly. He's really good. He's shown a lot of potential, and he's a lot like Bruno Guimarães when he started. And look how Bruno Guimarães has turned out in the Premier League. For years, I was saying that we should have signed Guimarães for us, but he went to Newcastle and now he's shining there. But André, he's really good, really good. 21 years old, really good on the ball. Also has a lot of energy, covers spaces really well. He's good defensively. Of course, he needs to improve. He's only 21, but I think he's a player I would want, and he already comes from a possession-based style type of football that nobody else does here.
Another one to look at if Man U don't get him, Amrabat. I mean, but the one
I think
I was
that
on
one
about,
is a little bit tougher.
You got the name right. What is it? Ibrahim Zangari. That is who I would be my first pick, and I think 35, 40 million, you've got him. From what I have seen him play when he has done, because I do follow a bit of just football in general, he's been pretty solid from what I've seen. Again, it's the ifs, buts, maybes, will he do it in the Premiership? But then you can say that about Amrabat and whoever else. But I don't think Amrabat would be that hard to get if Man U don't go for him.
Yeah.
Like I say, Fiorentina, they need money.
How old is this PSV guy? I think he's quite young, isn't he? Like 24,
I think
25?
24, 25, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good age.
About 24, 25. And he's quite a solid player. And that, I've only seen him play a couple of times, but he's definitely stands out for him. And as a defensive midfielder, I think that's one of the easiest places to adapt to in any style of football, whether you're playing Premiership, Italian, Spanish, French, Dutch, whatever. I think defensive midfield is probably the easiest place to step into. I think it's easier to step into than a bloody goalkeeper. Because if you're a solid defensive midfielder halfback, you are there to basically get that ball, get rid of it. Get the ball, get rid of it. Cover the defence. It's quite easy in the head on what you've actually got to do. Obviously, being able to do it is different, but it's one of the easier ones on the head to do as such. And I think that Sangari would definitely be a good pick, same as Amrabat. Fellow you've said, can't say I've heard of him. So, yeah, again, there's options there, but we just don't seem to look at it. Our scout team just seems to be awful. I don't know. Why don't they just play a bit of Football Manager and they could probably get a better idea because they are that crap.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a quick question here. We're not gonna take too long because Tommy doesn't usually go over an hour and a half, 2 hours much, and we still have one more topic after this to talk. So please smash the like and subscribe if you haven't. We're almost at the end of the show. But looking at the first game week and the teams, I thought Newcastle were brilliant against Aston Villa. 5-1
they
was
were
a huge
amazing.
result.
Yeah.
Brighton played really well, lost a lot of key players, but still did really well against Luton Town. Let's see how they're going to do against better teams. Man City doing Man City things. Haaland scoring twice already. Arsenal a bit shaky towards the end.
You see, with Arsenal, I think what you saw there, I think one thing they're going to struggle with this year, yeah, is this one of the same things they struggled with last year. They should have won that league, hands down. Even if they'd used a bit of rotation, whatever. I thought one of Arsenal's biggest problems was last year was complacency. That first 25 minutes against Liverpool they had, I have not seen a team tear Liverpool apart at Anfield like that before. I haven't seen a team do it like they did. They was 2-0 up. They was all over them, and it was like, do you know what? Game's done. Whatever. Next thing you know, shit, 2-2. What's happening? And then what happened with West Ham, and then what happened with Southampton. I think Arsenal they basically did that with Nottingham Forest. They was all over them, and then it was like, yeah, game's done. And then next thing you know, Forest scored a goal, and Arsenal got very, very shaky. And if there'd have been another 10 minutes on that, you could have quite easily said Forest could have got another goal out of that, possibly. I think Arsenal's still a bit too big for their own boots. Very good first 11. I don't think they've got any extra depth in their team, really, for who they've sold and who they've bought. Now that Timber's gone, they're back to that other centre-back as their cover if someone else gets injured. Havertz, what the hell was that about? Declan Rice, yeah, definitely an upgrade on what they had, but they haven't really got anyone else there. And I think they're a bit too complacent for their own good. I think they're a bit too far stuck up themselves, basically. I think that's what's going to let them down again. But I don't really see anyone else doing a better job of getting second or third. I think Liverpool, they definitely need a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Chelsea could still do with a decent defensive midfielder because they looked a bit shaky at that as well.
They
Man
have two
U,
now.
They get two, yeah.
I think the ones who stood out, it was definitely Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle was so good. Yeah.
And Aston Villa, okay, they got to adapt to their new team, whatever, because they've got a fair few new players and that. But I don't think anyone expected Newcastle to go and wipe the floor of them like they did. They absolutely destroyed them.
Tonali looked such a class signing, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For the price they paid
good
as well. Yeah.
He was very good at AC Milan. Very good. But again, it's about adapting to the Premiership. He's one who I definitely think will do it easily.
Yeah. But then, I'm going to go with Dan and then Has. Let's quick top 3 performance this first game week. Who do you think were the best 3 teams? Newcastle and...
Well,
Man City.
Newcastle goes without a doubt. Man City, I don't even think you saw one of their best performances off them. It's just Man City, a bloody Man City, isn't it?
I know, it's just that, yeah.
And then if I'm going to go for people are going to say this sounds a bit strong. I thought Nottingham Forest. To be 2-0 down against Arsenal like they were and still muscle it up to 1-1 and 2-1 and still fight until the last minute. I thought Nottingham Forest looked... I don't think they'll go down this year, put it that way. That's what I'm saying. All right, other teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, whatever, might have looked better. But for what they are...
last night.
I thought, Wolves. I thought Wolves were very good last night. But I thought Nottingham Forest definitely looked significantly better than they did last season. So, yeah, for me, I thought Forest played a solid game, even though they lost. And then, yeah, you got to say Man City. You can't really not say Man City. And, yeah, but Newcastle definitely stood out by a mile, didn't they? And Wolves did look good last night as well.
Has, do you agree? Do you put
Yeah,
anyone else?
I'm more I'm more taking more towards Wolves than Forest. But I thought
could
Wolves
see
deserved
why.
something out of yesterday's game, like 100%. And I think
That was a
Newcastle
penalty.
yeah. And then obviously Man City. So yeah.
Yeah. I think for me it's a little bit tough to judge Brighton because they played against Luton Town. So for me it's like, was it a case of were they really good, or is just Luton Town who are just the weakest team in the league? Because they played well. They played just like Brighton always do. Um, for me, the only ones I'm sure are City and Newcastle. I think let's see how City is gonna do now, because they had used to have Gundogan, now they don't have him anymore, and now De Bruyne is out for a few months, according to Pep Guardiola. They don't have the goal scoring power in Gundogan that they had before. Let's see how they're gonna do now. I'm actually gonna put Chelsea because I was surprised with how well they were able to get into the game against Liverpool. And look, I think Pochettino did a good job in the preseason. Now they're gonna have Caicedo and Lavia. Let's see.
The way they've just done Liverpool over with that.
Well.
Klopp must be fuming, mate. Klopp must be going on one at the moment.
He
I
is.
mean, look, that's two players that Chelsea have just literally pulled out their arse. And he like two of them. All right, they got Caicedo, the main fella. Okay, we'll go for our second choice. What's his name? Lavia. And Chelsea just went, no, bollocks, mate. I'm having him as well.
They're getting Olise from Palace as well. Olise.
Yeah,
as well,
they triggered his release clause.
Yeah.
Who's the defender at Palace? Gore. Yeah, he's one who I wouldn't mind Spurs. Okay, that's the cat. Don't worry about that. Okay. That was just my cat falling off the side. He's definitely one who I wouldn't mind seeing us get hold of, but you know that'll be 65, 70 mil, so it's a no-go. But that was just one I was just saying because you mentioned Palace.
If Palace, someone put in the comments that Palace were after DIER. If they really were making a trade for them, same level. Let's be honest, they're both on the same level. It's all right for everyone. But let's move to the last topic of the stream, which Tommy loves to do every week. He chose these three options for today.
Oh no, yeah.
Muppets of the week. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. Let's see if I can change the layout a little bit. Oh. No, yeah, but let's stay like this. It didn't change. Yeah. That's not good. So, Haas, who did you choose for Muppet of the Week? Eric Dyer for refusing to leave? I think the captain one would be Ange, right? For choosing
who chose the captain?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Daniel Levy, as always. Levy is always there.
I think whoever chose the captaincy, I've got to say, for this week.
I think Son is our Muppet of the week, mate. He got made to look a bloody idiot. He played crap. He got taken off, and he's meant to be the bloody captain. For me, Son is Muppet of the week. Eric Dyer didn't even play, so you can't even slate him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Son is my Muppet of the week all day long. I mean, and then Levy, there's another word for him. I'd love to call the fella, ask him out for a pint, and say, "See you next Tuesday." And but that's just Daniel Levy, isn't it? Yeah. So I don't even think that comes under the phrase Muppet, does it? So okay, we can change Tuesday to Thursday. Either way, definitely see you then. Son for me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. For me, look, he's not captain material. Worst player on the pitch for me. It's not looking good for Son in the moment, and we all know how important he's supposed to be for this season. So let's see if he improves against Man United. But
do you guys think he'll move him? They'll move him into the middle against United, or do you think he'll just stick with the same lot?
This is what we said earlier.
No, I think he's going to stay the same.
It would be a bad idea. Do you know what? If he stays with the same, then for me, that's already the manager showing that we basically need a manager that's. This
Ruthless.
is one thing that it's always. You just took the
Yeah.
words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
It's the Tottenham. What we've had there. It's. I mean, okay, you can say Conte was ruthless. Basuma, you don't play my way, I'm not playing you. But as all he had to do was adapt a little bit, like Conte, and he could have really made something out of Basuma because Basuma is that good. But at least Conte was a bit ruthless in his way. We just didn't like what he did do with his ruthlessness. Too many Spurs supporters. Oh, but Son. Oh, but Son. Or Dembele deserves another chance. Or Lo Celso had a good season at Villarreal and everything. Yeah, but what's he flipping done at Spurs? Nothing. What's Ndombele done? Nothing. What's Dier done? What's Sanchez done? They all should be shot. Now, again, but you'll have all the fans giving them a bit of heartbeat, like a little Klingon or something. But yeah, I think the manager needs to be a bit ruthless here. Right, Son, I don't care if you're captain, mate. You was awful. I need my team to win. Stick Solomon there or stick Perisic there. And also do the same with Kulusevski. Even move Son into the middle, whatever, like we said. If the manager sticks with the same, he could see that blatantly weren't working. He's got to try something different. I would anyway. But again, that's just opinion.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Well, guys, we covered everything we had to cover today. As we talked before, Tottenham's next game is on Saturday against Man United at home. I don't know what time it is.
5:30 UK time.
Yeah, 5:30.
Yeah, so you guys are 4 hours ahead of Brazil at the moment, which
there's going to be a few people up at Tottenham between 1 and 3 o'clock as well for the protests outside as well, because there's a lot of people not agreeing with what we've done. True. There's going to be protests there from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, as far as I know what the right times are. If you want to get the times for them right, you go onto Brian's page and he'll be able to show you all that. But I know there's definitely there's definitely going to be a few people up there for that one. So if anyone wanted to do that then it'd be a definite time to do it. But it does feel like we are just fighting a losing battle. I must admit that one.
Yeah, that's sad. But we keep fighting the good fight. Dan, I believe you don't have Twitter as well, right? Twitter channels.
No, don't bother with that. Still just going to do a little floating about from pages here and there and whatever, and then in due time probably get my own channel set up and everything. But just happy with what I'm doing at the moment.
It's great. Has a channel, I know.
Yeah.
So when are you going live next, man?
Tomorrow, 5:30 UK, and then I'm on View from the South on Thursday and Friday. So you don't even know the Hassan Hass show on the Thursday, and then I've got my own show on that channel as well on the Friday. So yeah, so busy week for me again. And obviously on Saturday we've got the post-match stuff as well. So yeah.
That's true. Well, I just a quick comment here. Timber out for 6 months. That's huge.
ACL
for Arsenal, and
so that could mean up to 9 months. That's 6 months upwards. And ACL, it depends what he's done with it. If he's torn it, that's one thing. If he snapped it, he could be out for over a year. But if he's actually snapped out, he'll never be the same player. Never. And he's only a young boy as well.
Shame. I know it's an Arsenal player. It's a bit of a shame though, because he actually looked all right in the first game.
I said about 2 months ago on one of the other pages I went on, Timber would have been one I definitely had a look at, and people said to me, no, it'd be too expensive. And then Arsenal went and got it for 35 million. Cheaper than what we got VDV for.
That's true.
But there we go.
But guys, oh no, we're gonna say something. Yes.
No.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much for everyone in the comments. Everyone who left a like or subscription. If you haven't do it, road to 3K. Tommy is in Greece. He's gonna come back with the 10. His bald head is gonna come back as shiny as ever.
Oh, I don't know. You say 10 now. I don't know. He's either gonna come back with a 10 or he's gonna come back looking like a tomato. So sort of like a 10 or a Tom sort of thing. It's going to be one or the other.
Look, my experience with European people, when they come to Brazil, they all look like a shrimp when they go to the beach. They always go red.
Oh, I can tell you a quick one. Just a quick one before we go. Me and my mate Ian, like we went on holiday to Zante. I mean, my mate Ian, like he's like a brother to me. He's from St. Lucia, yeah. And and as you can see with me, I'm a very white person. He's a black fella. And when we came out of there, I came back looking bright red, and he came back looking black. And when I mean black, he came back looking like charcoal. And so we're standing next to each other. He's black, I'm bright bloody red. It just looked very strange. So either way, I'm just saying how people get burnt up of every sort of thing. Yeah, it's going to be one or the other with Tom. He's either going to come back. Tom's going to come back with a tan, or Tom's going to come back looking like a tomato.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait until next season, until next week to see what's going to happen. Season. I'm going to go with the second option. Yeah.
What, tomato?
No, sorry. It's next week. I think I'm going to go with the second option. I think he's going to come back all red. But, yeah. Guys, thank you very much for
Thursday. Is he back on Thursday?
Right? His vest lines. Like his little vest lines.
No.
You know, with the little bits in the middle and that. Yeah, you know it, Tom, don't you? Wearing your kinky vest and that. I can imagine him coming on here with his netted vest and everything, and it'll show on there with all the red marks and the white lines. Yeah, we shall see.
We shall see. We shall see. But guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Dan, thank you for being on the show again. I don't think he's gonna be on Thursday this week because he's on vacation. But next Tuesday, Tommy is back with another live stream talking about the United game and much more. So until next week, take care. See ya.
See you later, people.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Out, Levy.